Welcome, everybody. We're delighted that you've chosen to gather together alongside with us. I'm the Reverend Manish Mishra-Marzetti. I am co-chair of the UUSC Board of Trustees alongside Lynn Miyamoto, the other co-chair of the board. We are gathered together for an annual membership meeting. We are hoping to get into an annual practice of holding such meetings. This first one is by Zoom, and we're delighted you've chosen to be here with us for it. It's the first one that I believe we're holding on Zoom, so there may be slight little hiccups here or there, such as you just witnessed a moment ago. Please roll with us as we are all learning and growing together. We have an agenda for this membership meeting today. Alejandra, if you could put up that agenda slide, please. I mentioned we're learning, aren't we? So you got a brief welcome from us. In just a minute, we'll introduce you to our president and lead executive officer of the UUSC. You'll hear some partner voices. You'll hear about the work of the board that's underway, which includes some financial transformation work, and we'll offer some thank yous to all of you, and then we'll be available for questions and answers that you might have about either the work of the board or the programmatic work of the UUSC. And with that, again, welcome to this time together this afternoon. And it is our exceptional delight and pleasure to introduce you to the president and lead executive officer of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, our colleague, Reverend Mary Catherine Mourn.
Thank you so much, Manish and Lynn, and welcome everyone. I really prefer the little boxes. Actually, I prefer in person. I'm sorry not to see your faces on the little boxes, but we wanted to make this meeting available to everyone, and this was the best way for that to go. So please see that there's a Q&A function at the bottom. That's where you can put questions, comments, anything you'd like us to hear. We have folks watching that. And we're just really grateful that you're with us. We have always appreciated the opportunity to be together at General Assembly when we've had that opportunity. And since we are not able to do that, we're glad that you're joining us now and grateful for this chance to give you a little update, chat with you, and share what's on our minds and hearts. What's on my mind and heart, first and foremost, is gratitude. And I want to say a special word of thanks to Manish and Lynn, who have taken on the considerable responsibility and committed incredible time and wisdom to the work of being our board's co-chairs. And also a thanks to all of those who are serving on our board and also on UUSC committees. Thank you. You will see later, Lynn and Manish will introduce you to who's on the board a little bit later. I also want to say thank you to the Unitarian Universalist Association for the ways that we are partnering together. Many of you are well aware that our joint project, the Unitarian Universalist College of Social Justice, has passed 10 years, actually, and still going and visioning new ways to engage young people and older people in learning about spiritually grounded social justice. And that work of justice education is a really important part of what we do at UUSC. You also probably know that in the last year, we've been working more closely with the UUA on work related to Unitarian Universalist representation at the United Nations. We'll have more to share about that in the months to come, as we are on the verge of hiring our global specialists who will be working with UUs at the United Nations on advocacy. Just a few announcements related to what's coming, and mostly what I wanted to say was deep gratitude for these partnerships, gratitude for those who came before, who paved a really powerful path for us to be on together as we strive to bring the values of Unitarian Universalism and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights to our broader world. I want to do a brief update. I won't take as much time as I normally do at General Assembly, and we will have some time for questions. But a few things I want to share, in particular related to the context in which we're working right now. You all know as well as we do that things are very challenging right now for human rights. And I just want to share a few of the things we're learning and focusing on, and make sure that you are aware of the ways what we're seeing and how we're responding to some really frightening things that are changing in our world. First, to share that we had the incredible privilege this last year to travel, staff and board, to Poland to visit UUSC partners there. Our partners there are working to support people who have been displaced by the war in Ukraine, Roma people, people with disabilities, Black and Brown people, women and girls who are at risk of sexual violence, and LGBTQ plus folks. It was so inspiring to get to be in the context that people are working in, to be face to face, to experience some of the challenges, but most of all, the incredible wisdom and power that our partners are bringing to the work of providing the support that people need when they are displaced, and the work for systemic change in the midst of intersecting oppressions. In the midst of our conversations and our relationship building, we learned again and were reminded again about the growing authoritarianism that is happening globally. Some of us, I know for myself, I learned a great deal more than I had known before about the parallels and the distinctions of Russian imperialism and the impact that it's having on that part of the world, and the way the same anti-rights movement that is impacting the United States and many, many other places is impacting that part of the world as well. This is a really important contextual learning, is that the anti-rights movement, it's also known as the anti-gender movement, because one of the things they push and they lead with in this movement is against what they call gender ideology. They're heavily funded. They're funded by far right groups. They're funded by religious groups. And we're not keeping up in terms of funding. And so this is one of the things that we're going to be focusing our attention on and our strategic direction on in the coming years. So it was a really fruitful visit, and I wanted to thank you all, because that work was only possible because of the tremendous support that we received when the full-scale invasion happened. And our primarily Unitarian Universalist supporters said, we know that we can trust UUSC to be in partnership and respond, and that's how we want to support a response to this humanitarian crisis. So thank you so much for the support that made that work possible. Along the same lines, you know that a thread of our work throughout our history has been responding to the impacts of displacement on communities of people. And we in many parts of the world have a lot of experience working with people who are internally displaced. This is really true in Burma. We visited, in fact, when I was there in 2020, we visited some of the Rohingya camps in country. You know, many of the people fled and went to Bangladesh and some other places, but there are many, many internally displaced people in Burma and many places around the world. We know this. What we didn't anticipate, I would say actually some people did anticipate this, but what we're facing that is deeply heartbreaking and disturbing and has caused us to shift a little bit some of our work is the reality of internally displaced people here in the United States. And you're aware that in many states around the nation, it is not safe for trans people to live, and it is not possible in many places for trans youth and children to receive the medical care that they need. And so you may have read about the work of Pink Haven, which we are a coalition partner to. This kind of grew out of our congregational community accompaniment program for asylum seekers. And the link in the chat is to an article from the UU World, which you may have seen. We're heartbroken that we're having to respond to this kind of change in the United States, and we will not remain silent. We will respond, and we are grateful for the support that many communities have provided in preparing a place to welcome travelers who need a safe place to be and to receive healthcare. Just very briefly, I want to touch on crisis response. I mentioned already Burma. We continue to support. Our work in Burma has actually grown and expanded in nature since the attempted military junta, which was, wow, 3 years ago now. And we're working with a lot of different ethnic minority communities in Burma, and providing support for the work they're doing together with the vision eventually of creating and building an inclusive democracy in Burma. That's the thread that ties to Haiti as well. Our work in emergency response in Haiti is not only with partners on the ground in Haiti, providing support for people who are in deep crisis, as you know very well, but also with a group of democracy activists from the Haitian diaspora who are working together and developing what they call a Haitian solution to the challenges that Haiti is facing, which really means an inclusive democracy for the future of Haiti. We're really honored to be in this coalition of advocates who are imagining a new way and gathering partners around to create this really important change. I wanted to celebrate very briefly work that UUSC is involved with in climate justice and the loss and damage work in particular. I think many of you are aware that UUSC has been working with partners who've been advocating for loss and damage for many years, and we have been gratified to see the response. It hasn't been adequate, but it's more than it had been of the international conference of partners, the International Climate Conference that happens each winter, the establishment of a loss and damage fund, and UUSC is very proud to be partnering with some groups and the government of Scotland in distributing $1 million in this loss and damage funding to support communities in the South Pacific. And in fact, I haven't had a chance yet to read the report, but 2 of our staff just this week got back from a convening that happened in Fiji with our partners as they are looking together at how they will be doing participatory processes with this funding to help their communities through the crises that they're facing right now. Finally, I wanted to speak just very briefly a little bit more to the impacts of the anti-rights movement, and in particular, the efforts in so many places around the world to silence and to defund civil society and any organization that is in the business of advancing human rights. We saw, and I'm guessing that many of you saw the coverage of the foreign agent law. It's also known as the Russian law in Georgia, the country of Georgia, which practically speaking makes it impossible for small grassroots groups there to receive international funding. And this is happening in many, we saw it several years ago in India as well, making it so difficult for groups to receive support from international human rights organizations and NGOs like UUSC. Again, what we didn't expect is to be facing the potential of being impacted ourselves by laws of this sort. And I just wanted to share that we have already encountered this. We have had to refused to participate in the program that allows state employees in the state of Texas to make a donation to UUSC, because Texas has passed a law that the donations from state employees cannot go to organizations that are supporting the provision of healthcare for youth who are trans. So no, we will not participate in that program. We will continue to provide the support that we feel is a human right. And what we realize is that this is the tip of the iceberg, and there are threats in many places in the United States of laws that will limit our ability to fundraise and will put us under a great deal more scrutiny. I think particularly under certain circumstances in the November election, if Trump is elected in November, but even if that doesn't happen, these laws are going to spread in the more conservative states, and we're going to be facing the impacts of that. We are in coalition with groups around the world who are facing these impacts and working together to support each other and to build a movement for human rights, to kind of build back up the movement for human rights, even in the face of this anti-rights, anti-gender movement. Two last things. I wanted to say happy birthday to Guest at Your Table. Guest at Your Table turns 50 this year. So I don't know if your congregation participates in our GATE program. If you don't, I hope you will. It is a program that has withstood the test of time. And one of the things we love so much about it is the generational carrying forward of the importance of being engaged with communities globally and supporting the work of advancing human rights through UUSC partner groups. Lots more to come on Guest at Your Table. I just wanted to make sure you knew to watch for that. And if your congregation hasn't been celebrating Guest at Your Table, I hope you will. Let us know how we can help you bring Guest at Your Table to your congregation. Your partnership with us is what makes all of this possible. Thank you so much for all that you do to support our values locally in your communities, and for understanding that coming together with UUSC partners, we can even have a global impact for justice. I've shared some updates that I hope are helpful, but really what we're excited about is giving you the opportunity to hear from some of our fantastic, brilliant, inspiring partners. So we've put together a little video with, I think it is 3 of them, maybe 4, for you to hear directly from our partners the impact of your support for UUSC on advancing human rights and creating social justice. So thank you for being here, and I think we have a video now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ineza Omoroza Grace. I go by Ineza. I am an ecofeminist, impact-driven actor, and I'm part of the Lost and Damaged Coalition, where I serve as one of the group of coordinators. The Lost and Damaged Coalition is a coalition made by young people from both developed and developing countries, aiming to hold leaders accountable in taking action on addressing the climate crisis, which is loss and damage. Loss and damage is the negative impact of the climate change and is the current intergenerational injustice for our generation. We are aiming to hold leaders accountable within their space, which is most of the time the COP or like the climate talks where they have annual meetings, but we also aim to hold them accountable outside this process. So we help them to understand that we are here as the young generation. The Lost and Damaged Coalition currently is made up by more than 1,000 young people from more than 90 countries. The hope for the future, my hope for the future is from the young generation. Young people, because we are the generation that have all the information. We have our like a lived experience of all the past mistakes and the fake promises and unhealthy behavior that the world was kind of going through. But all that information, we are taking it and we are trying to design the world in a better place by acting together as one. Just remember that we are the generation who are living in your mess, and we are not really aiming to blame or aiming to throw our hands up as if we want to give up. We want to use the best that we can, that we're able to be action takers, because I guess all the odds of us having barriers and challenges, we are thriving. And the only reason why we are thriving is that we as young people were able to understand what holds us together rather than what is differentiating us in this kind of a process. For me, global solidarity, especially in the climate change, stand that we all gonna be having a seat on the table and each of our voices matters.
Hi everybody, my name is Silvia Raquec. I am a Mayan Cachiquel woman. I am the coordinator of the reintegration program in Pop Nord in Guatemala.
Hello everyone, my name is Juan José Hurtado. I am the director of Asociación Pop Nord, which is a Guatemalan nonprofit organization working with indigenous peoples, especially in the northwestern part of Guatemala. We work with women, with youth, with children, and we do it from an indigenous approach, which means to value the history, the identity, the culture, all the knowledge that indigenous people have, which provide a strength to build another world. And we believe that other world is possible.
Pop Nord means in a Mayan language, Mayan Quichua language, women ideas, knowledge, and wisdom. And as was said, we support children that was deported from the United States and Mexico. We try to support them with psychologist assistance, and especially we try to do advocacy, especially with access to Mayan language during the migration, and especially when they are arrested and separated in the border.
Talking about migration, we believe that human rights should be the way to address the migration issue.
And also understand that all are human. Wherever we are, we have a right, a human right. And also all people have history, have a family, have dreams, have any hope in their lives, and they need to know that the bad things in our country is that we have discrimination, and we don't have the quality opportunity for us in the community. It's hard for a woman to access or have an education, have access to the university. If they have the opportunity, they don't have the opportunity to get a job. And this is the other reason that the people needed to leave and decide to migrate, because also the government is the first that are violent or rights, because they don't give us the access to have a good life in our territory.
There was a man who migrated with her girl. She was only 3 years old then. And they got to the border, they were detained, they were separated, and the man was deported before the child. And on the first moment, he was thinking of suicide. But because he felt guilty of taking the girl and leaving her, and we started giving him accompaniment, and he said, "I'm very grateful for you because you gave me hope in the most difficult time. To see that the things we do are good for the people, that really gives us strength. And when you see, for instance, the results of empowered women, youth, you say it worthwhile.
And also, I think all voices are important. We need to hear all, especially for children and women, and especially indigenous people. We support Maya Mom and Maya Popti in within Angola. This is the give them the opportunity to hear their voice and know what are they needed to have a good life in their community.
That without your support, we couldn't do the work we do.
My name is Henslin Peat Luseton, and I work for Ecological Solutions Foundation. We are a local NGO that is based in Gizo, Western Province of the Solomon Islands. My part in the organization is the office and project manager. The work that we do at Ecological Solutions vary. So we cover things like scientific research, we do climate change advocacy, we do forest and forest conservation, so natural resource management. We do a lot of environmental impact assessments. So as an organization, with the funds that we get from UUSC, we were able to support communities who have been victimized by sea level rise. So for instance, we have a community in Choiseul province of the Solomon Islands on an island called North Tambu, whose community have been washed away and has split into two islands now, literally. There's two islands now. There's a sea in the middle where the community was located. And there were about 24 homes that have been destroyed. And so these people, or the community themselves, the people have relocated on their own to the mainland Choiseul Island, to their own land tenure system, so where their ancestors came from, and have rebuilt their own homes by themselves. So with the funds that we get from UUSC, we were able to support them to build their new homes. So the support that we provided were things like masonites and louvers and iron rods and water tanks and the water tank fittings and the whole lot. Now it may seem small, but to them it is a very big impact because there is no government help. They have only been relocated on their own. So we did for that community on Watambu, and also the same thing too with a small community in Robiana on an island called Nusahope. And these communities are very grateful. Because of the funds that we get from UUSC, we were able to provide such support for them. And so they're able to rebuild their new homes. We're able to also support communities of Wakina Island. So these are little islands that hosted people from Kiribati who have migrated to the Solomons. Very little islands, and they have very low water table. Now, when they came over there, they were only able to use dugout wells for drinking, for cooking, for everything. Now, since salt water has come into the island, all their water wells are now salty, and so providing them water tanks helped to improve their lives by having access to clean water. So we installed water tanks in churches, so public buildings like the churches, and then the schools. There is a small island that is popular for farming of seaweed. We were able to give them at first one water tank, and then they requested for another because that little water tank served about 200 people. And that is not counting children, they said. And so we were able to provide for them another water tank. And so I think helping these communities, with the funds that UUSC gave, is such a big help to them, and they really appreciate it, and we are very glad to be part of this whole process.
I represent an organization who has been really blessed to have the support of the UUSC and also understand the struggle of what it's like being in the Pacific, trying to access the resources our communities need. So everything they do in terms of trying to decolonize grant making isn't just talk, they actually practice it. They make things simpler for people in terms of accessing funding. They are open in terms of their communications. You can come to them and just ask for something, and you're never met with a bunch of paperwork or a bunch of red hoops or barriers that you have to go through. The answer is always yes. And more than anything, they cherish the relationships they create with their partners, and they work to cultivate that, and that makes the process so much more meaningful and much more accessible to so many people.
So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I am one of the co-chairs, and I'd like to introduce our UUSC board members. I think you can see on the screen. We've gone to a shared leadership model, which has been a wonderful, wonderful experience. And in so doing, we also have been looking at our sort of governance model as well. How do we do our work through a justice and equity lens? As you can see, some of our board members, you may recognize, they are UU members, and some of them are ministers, UU ministers, but we also have board members who are not UU, but they are fierce advocates for social justice and for being human rights advocates and professionals in this world. And we work as a team. The board works together. We have different committees in which we are all working on. And through this work, through our committees, we hope to support our staff and our partners. As Mary Catherine told you, we were privileged to be able to go as a board to Poland to meet our partners, but we've also met other partners in the United States as well during some of our visits across the United States. Our board consists of members all the way from Hawaii to the East Coast. So many of our meetings are on Zoom, and of course with the pandemic, that's how we met, but we have an incredible, I would say, board that works together, who works in solidarity together with our partners and our staff. And we are all very, very grateful for your support in doing the work that we do. I think in learning to kind of look at a shared leadership model, we start to look at what is our governance model as well. And so we're doing a deep dive at that and seeing how are we structured as an organization. And like I said, every committee is working through a justice and equity lens to see how can we improve all the policies that we have as well, and the work that we do to make sure that we are aligned with all of our values, we're aligned with our partner, and aligned with our staff. Manish, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Sure. Thank you, Lynn. Yeah, as Lynn's mentioned, the work of ensuring that governance is in alignment with values. This is work that's happening at multiple levels throughout Unitarian Universalism. So of course, we're engaged in that same work here as the UUSC. One of the areas where that work is also happening, where it's included, is looking at the finances of the organization and the financial assets, and how we are both stewards to those assets and how we're utilizing them in service to the mission and values of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. To share some more about that with us, Catherine Schneider is a board member and chair of the Financial Transformation Task Force. If we could now spotlight Catherine, she'll share some words about this work of the board that's currently underway.
Thanks so much, Manish and Lynn. I'm so happy to be here. And having been a member of the Stewardship Circle for over a decade, I recognize many names and friends on the participant list today. So I want to say hello from Philadelphia to all of you. So last summer, the board established the task force consisting of current and past board members and management together. And this task force was charged with assessing and probably revising some of our financial policies, processes, and principles holistically and through a lens of mission and values, and in particular, justice and equity. Areas that we were asked to evaluate include, for example, guidelines for an optimal mix of sources of funding that comprise the UUSC's annual operating budget, principles guiding how UUSC will allocate financial resources to advance its mission, principles guiding how UUSC will invest its assets, and the appropriate level of reserves and or endowment. And we don't really have a technically official endowment, but we use that word to describe our reserves to a degree. What is the appropriate level to retain on an ongoing basis? And that obviously includes our coming to a definition of the purpose of having these assets set aside. And finally, relevant measurements and practices for each of the above areas so that we can have good governance going forward. We already do, but this is always part of the best practice of stepping back and outside of the direct committee work of the investment committee and finance committee, really taking a holistic view of alignment with mission and values. So we dedicated several months to shared learning, including reading the book Decolonizing Wealth, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. We learned from other justice-oriented funders. We heard about similar journeys undertaken by sister organizations such as the UUA. We clarified that ESG investing, while better than nothing, is undoubtedly not enough, as many of you know. Our work is still in progress, but with the budget planning cycle upon us this spring, we felt that it was imperative to move forward with one set of recommendations affecting the fiscal year 25 budget and an associated 5-year budget plan going out. So anyone who's managed even their own finances knows the constant balance between saving and spending. And that constantly has to be reassessed in the context of what's happening in the world today, what's happening in the financial and economic world today, in addition to the human rights world and what you're trying to have impact in out there. So over the past several years, really in part in response to the 2008 financial crisis, we've really been in a mode that has favored growing our savings over growing our program impact. And now, for a variety of reasons, including your generosity and favorable investment performance, we're now in the really nice position of being able to begin to tilt the scale at least somewhat back toward being able to grow the organization's impact in the world today, which, as you see from the videos we just watched, is really important and meaningful work. That is our ultimate mission and the main driver of why our community, including you, supports us so generously. One of our longer-term goals and actually mandates is actually to grow the UUSC's support from sources outside of our traditional community of UUs, so new like-minded individuals and organizations. And this is going to require a little bit of upfront investment as well. We're able to do this rebalancing, if you will, today without in any way compromising our ability to weather future economic storms, and really importantly, also to help our vulnerable partners weather any future storms, both literal and figurative. So I wanted to just thank all of the task force members, who I won't go through by name in the interest of time, and thank all of you for your incredible generosity, which has allowed us to do this work. We can't transform the way we look at our finances without having them in the first place. So thanks so much, and back over to you, Lynn and Manish.
Thank you, Catherine. We appreciate all you were doing for the board and on behalf of the UUSC. We do see we got a question in the chat, and we will have Q&A at the end, which is coming up soon. So rest assured that we will speak to that question. We want to take a moment just to thank each of you, as you heard from Catherine, and also we hope you gathered a sense from the partner testimonial videos that we had a chance to and a privilege to witness. The work that the UUSC does, the work that each of you directly contributes to and helps make possible is deeply impactful, helping change the lives folks who are living really on the margins of their societies. It is work that promotes human rights. It is work that promotes the dignity of those who are so impacted by this generosity. We want to encourage all of you. We hope that most of you are already members of the UUSC. If you're not, you can become a member today. A donation in any amount makes you a member of the UUSC and able to participate in these kinds of meetings, hear more deeply about the work, have your questions answered, and we warmly welcome all who are interested in being members to join us in supporting this good work. We wanted to take a moment to also share with you some testimonials from just folks like you who are also here, who are members of the UUSC and have felt deeply impacted by their ability to be a member of the UUSC and support this work. We want to share with you a couple of testimonials.
Hi, I'm Terry Wiss in Santa Cruz, California. I support UUSC because it fits with my values. As someone who grew up in a Jewish family in the South, I experienced being the other on a small scale, but can relate to the challenges of some of our partners. I can only imagine if I had not had the privileges I've had of being born in this country to parents who had the education, resources, and values to provide for me. In addition, I learned to value and appreciate the beauty of the natural environment and the animals that are a part of a healthy earth. Our indigenous partners have understood how to live with the earth and are now the most threatened by the destructive lifestyle of those who are uncaring and unthinking. I appreciate UUSC's priorities and how they do the work by finding on-the-ground partners to support and amplify their impact. These are my values. I continue to support UUSC with my donations and time. Join me.
My name is Lori Stevens, and I'm a UU minister. During my training, I did a unit of field education with the UUSC. The reason I love and support this organization is because I think they are doing some of the most important work on behalf of Unitarian Universalism today in the areas of international justice and accountability, migrant justice, and climate justice. But it's not just what they're working on, it's how they do it. They work with grassroots partners, not swooping in to save people. They work with a staff who are diverse not just in race and ethnicity, but in nationality. And they're unionized. So I am so grateful to the whole staff at UUSC. Thank you for your work on behalf of our faith across the world. Thank you for keeping the flaming chalice lit.
Hello, my name is Kirsten Hunter. I am a religious educator serving as the Director of Lifespan Ministries at South Church Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I have appreciation for the UUSC that spans a wide variety of reasons. I am super grateful for the thoughtful, relationship-centered work that UUSC does as an organization. And I am particularly appreciative of their work, the branch of the UUSC called the College of Social Justice, with whom I have worked most closely to experience and also develop as a leader, offering immersive justice-based learning experiences to members of my own congregation as well as colleagues. I believe an important and crucial, actually, piece of justice work in the world is expanding our understanding of one another's experiences, is building a deeper sense of our interconnection. And I have found that the work of the UUSC, and in particular the College of Social Justice, has helped me to develop that deeper connection to the intersectional nature of the challenges that face our planet and our human species. I have connections in Nicaragua and New Orleans and West Virginia and all across this country and beyond that are in part due to the UUSC and the work of the College of Social Justice, as well as relationships within the organization that allow me to to participate in the deep work of building a beloved community, of growing our understanding of and our movement toward collective liberation. And wow, is that important. Deep thanks to the UUSC and all of the many wonderful people who help this organization thrive.
Well, I want to thank Terry and Lori and Stan for their wonderful testimonials. And I think that all of you too, if you want to share why it's important for you to be a member with your congregations, with your friends, we would love for you to do that. And I just saw something in the chat, somebody wanting to also share the work of our partners that they saw today. That just made my heart sing because, the more people that we tell about the wonderful work of the UUSC, the more we can impact our partners and more justice can be done in the world. So thank you so much. And I believe now there's some questions, and I think Mary Catherine, were you going to join us in the question and answer, and Dana help us with those questions?
So
Great.
there was a question regarding Blue and Drum and the proposing the AIW around the solidarity with Palestinians. Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, thank you, Curtis. It's great to know that you're with us today, and we are grateful for our partners at UUs for Justice in the Middle East and Drum and Blue and some others. These other groups have been doing really great work on education and helping folks understand and advocating for a ceasefire, and we are really grateful to have supported some of the actions taken. And while we aren't an official signer on of the AIW because we don't participate in that process, we are really glad to have joined in the efforts that are advocated for in the AIW. So you can watch for that. You'll see it's noted in the AIW itself. For those of you who aren't Unitarian Universalists, this is an action of immediate witness. It's a statement that is that comes from Unitarian Universalists and is action taken at our General Assembly, which is happening later this week. So you can also find on our website our own series of statements in response to what's happening in Gaza, and our call that is actually several years old that the United States stop funding Israel and the Israeli military. You can learn more about that on our website. Thanks for the question, Curtis, and thank you so much for all of your work.
If there are other questions,
I saw one in the Q&A, Dana, about how many countries, and so I quick sent a message to my colleagues because I'm not sure what the latest number is. And it's a great answer because what we have partners in more than 50 countries. But Ineza, who you heard from in the video, her organization actually works in a number of countries. So we have a presence through our partners in 72 countries right now. So it's a broad, and we know also a deep impact globally. Thank you for that question. We'd love to hear from you if you have other questions. You may have seen Beverly's question about the endowment, and I'm glad for the chance to verbalize a thank you to Beverly and those who have served on the board and created the conditions that make it possible for UUSC to be what it is today. Thank you, Beverly, for setting up the process. When Beverly was on the board, the circumstances that Catherine described wouldn't have even been dreamed of. But this business about the endowment is really just a matter of what term you use for a certain kind of reserves, and it's something that our auditors has raised for us. So it's not that we are not holding reserves that are used to help support our programs. And at this point, the interest, so just to give you a taste, Beverly, of the impact of all of that work, in the coming year, the earnings on the invested reserves will be funding, it's about 8%, 8.5% of our budget. So that makes a tremendous difference, and we are so grateful for that.
And there was a question about where to find this phenomenal partner video. I take it that will be posted on our website, probably?
It's my assumption that we will post this whole meeting on the website, but Christina, you can also send me an email.
There are also some really great videos under the guest at your table, some of our partners that you may want to use that I've used at my own church. So I just put that out there.
I'm so glad you said that, Lynn, because I meant to say when I was going on and on to remind people about our website and our news tab. If you hit the news tab, that's where all of our blogs go. And there's just so much. I mean, it's hard to keep up, to tell you the truth, but that is a great place to learn more about our work. Thanks, Kate.
There are questions that have come up? Anybody?
Oh, wonderful.
Great. We have more people who want to share those testimonies presented on the video.
There aren't any additional questions. I think on behalf of Lynn and I, we'd offered, just thank you for being here. And the intention is to have an annual membership meeting like this moving forward. So please stay tuned and join us again approximately a year from now when we do an event like this again. Of course, if you're closely involved in the work, there's multiple opportunities at any point in time throughout the year to be in touch with the board or UUSC staff to ask questions or share your ideas and thoughts. They are always welcome. And we'd invite our UUSC president, Mary Catherine Warren, to close us out today.
Thank you, Manish. Thank you, Lynn. It's really an honor to work with the two of you and with all of you. I'll be closing our time together today with a beautiful poem, which was the spiritual grounding we used when we were traveling together, meeting partners, visiting Auschwitz and the Roma Memorial at Auschwitz as board and staff. And I wanted to share it with all of you as well. This is from a poet we support and appreciate so much, Aurora Levins Morales, and the poem is entitled Summons. Last night, I dreamed 10,000 grandmothers from the 1,200 corners of the earth walked out into the gap, one breath deep, between the bullet and the flesh, between the bomb and the family. They told me, we cannot wait for the governments. There are no peacekeepers boarding planes. There are no leaders who dare to say every life is precious. So it will have to be us. They said, we will cup our hands around each heart. We will sing the earth's song, the song of water, a song so beautiful that vengeance will turn to weeping. The mourners will embrace, and grief replace every impulse toward harm. 10,000 is not enough, they said. So we have sent this dream like a flock of doves into the deep of the world. Wake up, put on your shoes. You who are reading this, I am bringing bandages and a bag of scented guavas from my trees. I think I remember the tune. Meet me at the corner. Let's go. Thank you again for being with us. We hope to see you soon.